SNAP benefits prove they're not going to cut Social Security. There's people are threatening it could be food riots because they're cutting back on SNAP benefits. 42 million Americans are going to lose food, blah, 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 blah. I'm not in the least worried about that, and neither should you be. 42 million Americans can get jobs. I was just reading my book. You had a job for life about a union, well, not union necessarily, but a paper mill town in Groveton, New Hampshire. And people are saying, hey, if you didn't work, you didn't eat. That was just a fact. That's the way it used to be in the old days. If you didn't work, you couldn't eat. Now, you might not be able to work because you got issues. I get that. We have resources for those. But just because you're lazy, you should get a job. That's all there is to it. So I got no sympathy at all for people who refuse to work. I just don't. But it's just obviously how many illegal immigrants, how dare you say that? How many illegals are we putting on SNAP benefit? The whole thing is just corrupt as can be. And all these anti-Trumpers, well, Trump isn't doing everything he promised. Dude, I see this all the time on the supposed right wing on Twitter or X and Facebook and stuff. Trump, blah, blah, blah. My man Anomaly, he doesn't like Trump because Trump is still too pro-Israel and stuff. I said, dude, at the end of the day, my number one thing is to close the damn borders, and Trump is doing that. Now, let's start deporting these people, and we'll be better off as a country for sure. And Trump is doing so. Don't make the perfection the enemy of the good. That's for sure, as many on the right are doing. But anyway, all right, so let's just say 42 million, quote, Americans, unquote, because I don't buy it for 2 seconds. The same people are saying illegal immigrants don't get SNAP benefits are also the same people illegal immigrants don't get health care. I'm like, it's just this freaking insane, dude. But anyway, let's just say that's true. 42 million Americans are losing SNAP benefits because of whatever government stupid shutdown there is. How many Americans are on Social Security who are also not of labor age? 80 million Americans are on Social Security. The vast majority of them are over, obviously, the age of 62. So inherently, they can't just go get a job like all these SNAP benefits people can. All right? 80 million Americans. So if there's going to be food riots, or worry about food riots, and I'm not in the least worried about it, but if there are going to be over SNAP welfare benefits by people who can have the resources, the ability to get work, what do you think is going to happen if they cut Social Security? Come on, people. Now, you can make an argument, how are they going to fund it? That's a different argument to make. I get it in terms of Social Security benefits. My man Andrew Biggs and I had a good conversation yesterday about Social Security funding. And I'm just not that worried about it. I'm just not, because I do believe there's some legitimacy to the modern monetary theory school that says, hey, the government create the money, the government can print the money. Now, the right wing, I hate to say Andrew Biggs is right wing, but he's of the right, would argue that the government printing caused all that inflation. A little bit, but I just don't agree. I think it's a supply chain breakdown. People don't go to work. Crazy. In fact, I was just reading yesterday about in my book I'm reading, a huge increase in prices on corrugated materials for boxes back in the 1950s. And so basically there was no tariffs on that. There's no freaking massive increase in government spending. It was just a supply and demand issue. So corrugated paper to make cardboard boxes went up hugely in price in the late 1940s, early 1950s. Why? Had nothing to do with government spending, had nothing to do with this, that, and the other, had to do with supply chains. Massive increases. In fact, so much so that even the UK Parliament issued an issue that they had to really do something because that was affecting their national economy. Very interesting. I'd never heard that before, but I thought that was funny because it just goes to show you once again that massive inflation isn't from hyper government spending, it's from supply chains, without question. You get supply and demand, supply chains. And the interesting thing was the corrugated paper made the cardboard boxes, which are replacing the wooden boxes, made with trees. Much lighter, much easier to build, much more cost effective. So what do you think happened to the price of wood, or the price of wood boxes? Demand fell off a cliff. What do you think happens? The supply was still there. What do you think happens to the price? So if we have inflation on corrugated paper, which lead to cardboard boxes, right? And then because of massive increase in demand and less, well, not even an increase, declining supply, a supply that wasn't keeping up. And then we have massive decrease in prices on wood boxes to ship your goods. What do you think happens there? All right, you have inflation on one, you have deflation on the other. It had nothing to do with government monetary issues. It had nothing to do with that. It had to do with supply chains. Dead squirrel. And supply chains rule everything. Right-wing economists, they have got to know this, but it's so easy to say blame the Fed. And I actually don't think a lot of actual right-wing, normally right-wing economists are anti the Fed. Libertarians are anti-Fed just because it's such an easy, blame the Fed. Like, okay. Anyway, the point being is, I don't know how we're going to fund Social Security. I'm not in the least worried about it. I'm not, because we've had debts as far as the eye can see for years and years and years and years and years, decades even, and we've been hearing the same thing. At some point, it just hasn't happened. I mean, just come on. Could it happen? Absolutely. Anything could happen. That guy could run me off the road right now. Could happen. The likelihood of that happening is not high. And as such, you can worry your pretty little face about other things and things that aren't likely to happen. Anyway, but that's why they'll never cut Social Security benefits, because the controversy with the SNAP benefits will lead you to know that Social Security is it's just not going to happen, my friend. Dude, I hate they're taking out all those trees right there. Oh, that kills me. I don't know why they're doing that. They can't be expanding this road. Dude, look, I hate it. I know we have more trees now than we did at the turn of the 20th century, but still, I hate seeing all these trees being put down for stupid asphalt. But I'm a hypocrite because I live in what used to be a forest myself, and they asphalted it for my own home, and I get it. It kills me, though. I still hate seeing it, but what are you going to do? All right. God bless. Love your thoughts. Smash that like button. We'll see you.